I'm Audley Scott, and you're listening to Flashpoint Radio. Rise and shine, your morning boost of inspiration, news, and fun. With Mikey G, Lady Elise, and CoraleeKaren, the unmistakable combination synergized to navigate.
It's like we're running in circles, going around every day, getting stuck in the hurdles of yesterday. Don't you wanna go further, away from the fray? Let's not get stuck in our worries, we'll make our own way. Won't you come outside where the sunflowers bloom? Breathe in the air, look up to the moon. I'll meet you outside, away from the crowd. Just you and me together, we'll all seem better outside. Just us in the sky. I will go wherever, I'll be yours forever.
Welcome to the Breakfast Pour. Today is, I will say, Fantastic Friday, and so it is so because we're going to make sure that we make it fantastic. You know, it's the last day of the work week, and for most of us, we're looking forward to the weekend where we can stay a little longer in our snoozes. As a matter of fact, I look forward to snoozing my alarm clock.
Surprise us, CoraleeKaren.
Yes, it is absolutely a fantastic Friday, and the amazing duo Mikey G and Lady Elise. Do you have plans for this weekend?
Well, I think we do have a lot of plans for this weekend, but it includes you as well. So the question is, do we have plans for this weekend? Do we have plans for this weekend? You know, and so we do have some plans. Wow. We have some plans for this weekend, guys. There's so much things happening in the Cayman Islands right here at Flashpoint, and we want to share a few of those things with you. I don't know. I don't only hear Lady Elise. She just smiled a while ago, so I think that's her thing. Yeah, that's what's going on.
You heard me smile.
Let the smile go.
I never knew I had a noisy smile, but it is certainly a fantastic Friday, and of course we are certainly happy to be in the studio with you this morning. And as we start today, being Friday, we are so thankful. It's All Gospel Friday. We have a lot of discussion. And of course, Mikey G is ready to share what will be happening this weekend. But before he does that, I just want to say a special good morning to the members of the Ebenezer Seventh-day Adventist Church. And I am telling you, somehow what they are experiencing as members of the church has gone down in history. It's one for the books. You speak about stories in the Bible, stories of faith and belief and prayer, and certainly they are experiencing answered prayers this morning. And certainly we are going to be sharing a lot more. CoraleeKaren and I will be sharing a lot more because they did have their groundbreaking for the Manna Foundation, a community effort that will certainly be of vast importance to the community here in Georgetown, Grand Cayman. But But you see, Mikey G said he heard me smiling. Now he hears me talking a lot. But I'm sure he has a lot to share with us as to what is going to be happening this weekend and beyond.
So what we're going to do is we're going to go right to the devotional when we come back. Of course, M&M Construction is the sponsor for this morning's program right here in the Grand Cayman and on Flashpoint.
To build your dream home or renovate your space, M&M Construction is the perfect place. We bring your vision to life with precision and quality craftsmanship. From design to construction, we guide you every step, ensuring seamless coordination and superior results. Our professional roof inspection and maintenance services will ensure that your roof is sturdy this hurricane season. So, if you are ready to start your construction journey, call us today at 345-927-7509. Build with confidence. Build with M&M Construction. 345-927-7509.
Good morning. This is day 21. To you it has been granted on behalf of Christ, not only to believe in him, but also to suffer for his sake. Philippians chapter 1, verse 29. A Bumpy Road, written by David Roper. When people tell me life is hard, I always reply, of course it is. I find that answer more satisfying than anything else I can say. Writer Charles Williams said, "The world is painful in any case, but it is quite unbearable if anybody gives me the idea that we are meant to be liking it." The path by which God takes us often seems to lead away from what we perceive as our good, causing us to believe we've missed a turn and taken the wrong road. That's because most of us have been taught to believe that if we're on the right track, God's goodness will always translate into a life free of trouble. But that's a pipe dream, far removed from the biblical perspective. God's love often leads us down roads where earthly comforts fail us. Paul said, "To you it has been granted on behalf of Christ, not only to believe in him, but also to suffer for his sake." When we come to the end of all our dark valleys, we'll understand that every circumstance has been allowed for our ultimate good. No other route would have been as safe and as certain as the one by which he came. Bible teacher F.B. Mayer said, "If only we could see the path as God has always seen it, we would have selected it as well." If some darker lot is good, then we should ask God to teach us to endure the sorrow, the pain, the solitude that make the spirit pure. Our quote this morning reads, "No trial would cause us to despair if we knew God's reason for allowing it." End quote.
Looking to build your dream home or renovate your space? M&M Construction is the perfect place. We bring your vision to life with precision and quality craftsmanship. From design to construction, we guide you every step, ensuring seamless coordination and superior results. Our professional roof inspection and maintenance services will ensure that your roof is sturdy this hurricane season. So, if you are ready to start your construction journey, call us today at 345-927-7509. Build with confidence. Build with M&M Construction. 345-927-7509.
I'm Audley Scott, and you're listening to Flashpoint Radio, Rise and Shine, your morning boost of inspiration, news, and fun, with Mikey G, Lady Elise, and CoraleeKaren, the unmistakable combination synergized to navigate.
I can never ever get over or enough of hearing my name according to the pronunciation.
Now you're becoming obsessed.
Yes, I think I am. I believe it should be patented, and only Audie can call my name.
I've been actually taking in the devotional this morning and trying to just answer the question that lies on my heart. So my question, CoraleeKaren and Mikey G, the devotional this morning, theme, a bumpy road. And there was one point where the narrator would have said, if we should look through God's lens, we would have still chosen that bumpy road. That would have been the best direction. And so certainly when we are in our valley experiences, we are praying. We are praying for a change. I know I would be praying not for the bumpy road, but for the smooth one.
Yeah. Somebody said to me this week, if you don't have a test, you won't have a testimony. A reminder, and I agree with you. Oftentimes I ponder stories in the Bible when you talk about Joseph, when you talk about Job, and even in our own experience, there are times when I look back and when I didn't understand God's leading, because again, in my mind, we're having a conversation and you see where it always work out. I remember making a decision and I would have asked the Lord, if it is that you are in agreement with this, then make the way clear. And almost like 2 months in, something happened that was like caused me to say, Lord, I thought we had a conversation. What's happening here? But at the end of the day, you realize that it wasn't just that conversation he was having a big picture conversation, and that just fell into a part of it. And so having directed my path, I didn't understand it, but after, that's the beauty about God. He does not leave you to figure it out. You may not understand it while you're going through it, but certainly at the end of it all, it becomes clear. So for me, it's being reminded that the test is for a testimony.
Alright, let me go again. That's why we have science fiction. My mic was off. Sorry.
No, we're hearing you.
Yeah, good. So we have science fiction to nullify what you just said a while ago, CoraleeKaren. To expressly disconnect from the idea of talking to this imaginary person that we call God. And so when we go talking to this imaginary person, how stupid we look now? People looking at us These people talking about you consulting God. You can't see. But I always like to remind of the story of the mother and the son. We have now passed our place in terms of how education has moved forward and technology, and so we are smarter now than before. Went to school as a nice Christian young man, came back in the 80s. Don't believe in God anymore. There's no God, and of course I can't find God, and if it was possible, men would be able to find him by now because they're shooting rockets all over the place. And so when he talked to mommy came back, couldn't believe that her good son who went to school, a Christian boy, came back a non-Christian boy. Can't believe that he was totally erased. Mommy, I don't believe in God anymore. This God is can you see your God? Can you touch your God? Can you how do you know that your God is around? And mommy says, I know because I can feel him. His son says, Mommy, that's a stupid argument. That have no bearing at all on anything because there's no reality in that. Went to bed the night and a toothache catch him, wrench in the mouth. And I know everybody know about toothache. You ever had a toothache? I certainly have. And I tell you, he was twisting and turning in there, and the mother hear him screaming, rush to his attention and says, Son, what's happening to you? He says, Mommy, I am having a toothache. It's a pain that I've never experienced before. Mommy saw the idea of God's hand working and said this is an object lesson to be learned and to be taught at the same time. She said, Son, can you feel the pain? Can you touch the pain? He says, No, Mommy, I can't touch the pain. Can you see the pain? No, Mommy, I can't see the pain. But how do you know you have it? He said, every now and then I feel it moving in my mouth. He said, that's how God is. We can't see him, we can't touch him, but every now and then we feel him moving. And sometimes when we speak about this God and we talk about this, this imaginary friend that we have, people look at us a little stupid. But I want to say to somebody that it would be very interesting to see the look on some people's face when this stupidity becomes the reality for many to see in awe and shock, and you're not a part of the whole system. All right.
Before you go on, it brought to mind the conversation on Tuesday before you got your bed, where Pastor Shan O'Connor shared with the program before you got your bed, and one of the things that stuck with me is the fact that faith is now a part of the treatment process. He also shared his experience where he was doing a procedure and the doctor asked his permission to pray with him. And it's interesting because I remember having a conversation with my son, and he says to me, Mom, school is so confusing. When you're in primary school, you're taught one thing. As you go further in or higher in your educational pursuits, it teaches you something else. So in secondary and tertiary school, it contradicts what you would have learned in the earlier years. And ultimately what it says that you need to have a mind of your own. You need to think for yourself. And when you mention the whole aspect of atheism, it almost, what I got from what you said and also remembering what my son shared with me, is you're to make your own decision. You're to look at it. If it makes sense, it has to add up. And if it doesn't, then you're to rubbish it and find something to replace it with. And then when you think about God, God is all about faith. It is not the experience is not well, I was about to say it's not tangible. So it is what you feel, it's what you know, and it's something that you have to rely on faith tremendously in order for you to identify God in it. And so, it's for us to understand that maybe science is doing, or healing is doing a 360, where we're going back to faith is a part of your healing process. You have to believe it.
Well, we know one thing. We know one thing for sure, that many won't believe and many will, and it is the enemy's plan to allow as many to be lost as possible by providing them with the immediate knowledge that they want. Here is Eve at the tree, or the woman at the tree. She didn't become Eve yet. She's going to become Eve very quickly, right after she participated in the devil's plan. And so she was disillusioned right there. And that's where we go. Every time we want to know more and we want to learn more, and people say, that sounds like a backward way to think, Mikey G. You were sounding a little bit backward right there. No, I just believe that there are some things we should just kind of like, But then we are curious mind, and I guess we can make the best breakthrough, but I believe that there must be some factor of moral and God-like principles that would guide that path to be a better pathway. So you don't break.
But then that's the truth, Mikey G, because all knowledge comes from God, and so
all knowledge comes from God.
Absolutely right. What the devil does, and if you think about the exchange, God already told Eve all that the devil would have communicated. He just packages as if it's something new. She knew that she wasn't to eat of the fruit. So him telling her that you will not surely die is not that he was giving her more information. He was just distorting what she already had. And so if we stick to what, as it says, thus saith the Lord, then we're in good stead.
The story for that is simply this one. The dog with the bone. Eve had the bone in her mouth, and the devil tricked her into dropping it into the water. And she the reflection is in the water, and she think the dog with the bone in the water the dog had a bigger bone than the one she had. And so she dropped hers to grab that.
The story that came to my mind, Mikey G, is the temptation of Jesus, where here you have the devil saying to him, it is written. So God would have been a part of writing the Bible, and the devil is going to tell the author what is in it, and the author was going to immediately says, you got it wrong. That's not what it says. And if we don't know, then we will be like Eve, swayed by every wind of doctrine. Wow. And so if we know, then nothing can root us out of the information that God would have provided for us. But we started out by talking
TGIF. Thank God it's Friday this morning. It is indeed a wonderful morning.
All right. Fantastic Friday.
Ladies, have something for us to look at. Of course,
Mikey G, we started out discussing what is happening on this weekend.
Yes, we wanted to know what's happening on this weekend.
Absolutely.
But I'm thinking that our time is just running so quickly. I think we need to look at. We have
to pause, because we always have to hear what you're thinking, Mike.
No, the pause is simple. The pause is simple. Today we are having a few days going on, and we are thinking about the family today and how the family operates, and we want to look a little bit at the family as the rudiments of the society and of the church itself. How we believe the church is a building, and we are just trying to tell you it's not. The people are the church, and the church is no building there for any church. There's no such thing.
Absolutely. But before we delve deep into that, we do have some events coming up this weekend, and so I think it's prudent for us to share with our listeners what's happening Saturday night. What is the focus? We would have shared on the various platforms that Flashpoint is once again engaging in karaoke. And this will be at our West Bay location. And I will ask Lady Elise to give us the exact address and the time.
Well, it is Saturday night, March 22, of course, and it is at 269 West Bay Road, karaoke night for the Flashpoint team, inviting you to this one. It's going to be an exciting event, CoraleeKaren.
Well, the last one was absolutely amazing. We did crown the Flashpoint karaoke queen, and the intent is to have that every quarter, I believe. Am I correct? It's every quarter. So these events leading up to the next one will certainly be practice for the potential next quarter's queen or king. So we are inviting persons to come on out. We start at 7 o'clock. And again, Mikey, you want to share the exact location, the address?
Okay, so the exact location is it is 2269 West Bay Road. That's where the Margaritaville location is, right there.
Next door to I was fascinated when I heard how that was pronounced. But that's our event. So VIPs, you're asked not just to come along and participate, but invite your friends, invite your network so that we can have an amazing time together. Can you share with us what other event will be taking place this weekend?
All right, so the next event where we're looking at is Benga, yes, Mera. I'm sure that we are having a few things going on for this weekend. It will be on April 6th, the 19th, and this one is at 7. Well, I'm thinking I'll be catching up with my Spanish this time around, so I'm going to be leaving that a little bit right there for those who can.
All right.
Yeah, so it's an evangelistic effort, and of course, there you see the pastor for the Georgetown Seventh-day Adventist Church. He will be the speaker there at the Philadelphia Seventh-day Adventist Church. So it says Iglesia Adventista Philadelphia. That's the Seventh-day Adventist Church, Philadelphia, and they are located up there in Prospect. And they are having an evangelistic effort starting the 6th of April and extending until the 19th, 7 p.m. nightly. So it's a todos las noches exceptio jueves.
Thank you, Lady Elise. All right.
Sorry. She has been doing a great job of translating the last bit. Would you be so kind as to do likewise?
So it says every day in the week, every weekday, except Thursday, jueves, miércoles. Jueves is Thursday, right? Jueves.
that's the word I got.
Todos las noches excepto jueves.
Okay. Great, thank you. So, I mean, for this week, we had the young people having started on Sabbath with World Youth Day. They proceeded with a week of prayer. The young people were on display this week, and I hope those of you who took the time out to listen in, to attend, to visit the locations, that you were blessed. And so it's always an opportunity for us to share. It's about the generation that is coming next, and we ought to make sure that we are teaching them. And the best way is first to demonstrate, and next to allow them to execute. So always proud of the young people, and it's a means of making sure that they stay rooted and grounded. I remember, teen talent, and I think Lady Elise, it would be necessary for us to keep track of how things are going with the youths in that endeavor so that we can report to our viewers and our listeners as to what's happening and where they are in the process of the 20 delegates who will be representing the Cayman Islands in this year's Teen Talent competition.
All right, moving on to Belize. Yeah, we're going to go over to Belize right now. Thank you, CoraleeKaren, so mission trip. Mission trip to Belize.
Belize, yes. And of course, that is being hosted by the Ephesus Seventh-day Adventist Church. And of course, that promises to be an interesting one. The cost that's associated with that, it's $1,500, and that includes a flight, the insurance, food, and accommodation. That's a deal. And of course, it's not just vacation. You want to vacation and you want to, of course, be of service to the community. So Mission Trip 2025, and that date is from the 27th of July to the 10th of August this year. And certainly we will have representatives from the Ephesus Church in studio to speak to us more about that trip.
All right, moving on to the ASI. Yeah, ASI is also having a 5K run walk coming up on Sunday, April 13th, 2025 at 6 a.m. Of course, it starts out at the Adventist Conference on Walker's Road, right here in the Grand Cayman. It is Let's Move 4K on run walk.
Yes, and you know what I like about the 5K, Mikey G, is that it is an effort to bring the community together and to stay healthy while doing it. So there's no cost associated with this event. It's free of cost, and it's not a race. If you can walk. If you can run. If you can jog. If you can exercise your mouth.
Why are you looking at me?
Oh, man.
In other words, everyone is welcome. It's all in an opportunity for us to stay healthy and to keep moving.
All right, so let's go to Ambassador all the way in Florida. Is it Florida or Florida? Florida, right. So it is.
We're not.
It is Ambassador Walk. It is Ambassador. It is ABM Walk for Life 5K 2025 on the 27th of April. It's a Sunday at 7 a.m. and this one is a $25 entry fee. That includes also the t-shirt that you may want to wear for that event. And so if you are in the Florida area at the Ambassador location, please come on down or go down to that location and get into that frenzy of walking for your life. Enjoy that one.
Actor is also having their walk, their 5K as well. And as usual, it says take me to the water 4. It is on the 6th of April, 6 a.m. The starting point is 7 Mile Public Beach, and it goes down to Marriott West Bay. The contribution is $25 for adults. Children ages 11 to 17, $15, and children 6 to 10, $5. So this is the Take Me to the Water 4, the walk, run, draw event, and that will be on the 6th of April, starting at 6 a.m. So lots of happening.
Last but not least, all right, we're going to be sharing with you the open portal comes up this evening. Yeah, man. Of course, we are looking at church. At the church, healing from church hurt is the title topic for this evening's experience on the open portal. I don't know if anybody want to chime in on that one. We had one of those programs last week. We were talking a little bit on that, and I guess this week we'll be doing a continuation, part 2 on that aspect of it. I know many persons have been hurt by a lot of stuff that happened within the church, as it were. But then when we speak about it in that perspective, it sounds as if it's a building and we go in there and we get hurt in there. We sometimes separate the thought that we are the actual church, and it's like a scorpion stinging itself, like that, so. If that's the story, then let's listen to that one. It's coming up this evening at 6:30 in the PM right here on Flashpoint. And so we'll have another conversation in that direction. Elise, what's going on?
I know, Mike, you said it was the last, but I also want to share with our listeners and our viewers that on the 6th of April is also Flashpoint's Fish Fry. And I see that, well, it may be important for us to indicate that it's between the hours of 8 and 11, but we want everyone to purchase a ticket or 2 or 10 and be a part of the Flashpoint ministry. We know that we can depend on you to support us in this regard, and guess what, it is going to be great. It is absolutely going to be great. As a matter of fact, my observation when I was observing as opposed to being incorporated now is that Flashpoint goes all out to make sure that those who participate will be well taken care of. So come out. We have a lot of things going on. We have the karaoke Saturday night. This is the 22nd at 7 o'clock. And we are also promoting the fish fry on the 6th of April. So among all the other activities that are going on, the many 5Ks, it's about your health. And so we're inviting persons to be a part of also the evangelistic series that will be taking place at Philadelphia. I'm sure I can ask Elisa to translate for us for those occasions. But guys, a lot of things going on. Please avail yourself to all that's happening, because at the end of the day, we're looking about the total man, the evangelistic, the social, you have to eat as well. So that element of it, we're all about you and bringing all the events to your attention so that you can participate.
Hablo poquito español.
All right, so when we come back, we will talk a little bit more about what's happening around in your neck of the wood right here on Flashpoint.
You ever hear Earthquake call and say, "Hello, Miss Lee, yes, it's me, Earthquake, I coming Tuesday around 10? No, sir. Earthquake does arrive unannounced, and when it come, it shake all sense and sensibility out of we. Remain calm, stay inside, and do the DCH. Drop, cover, hold on. Once the shaking starts, you know it's earthquake. Make a quick move to a safe place. Don't run to the door, we are in the exit. Stairs might block up or full of people. Elevator, avoid that, because you might get in and poof, power gone, and you're stuck in that box without ear. Take cover under a strong table or a bed, or crouch against an inside wall or in a corner, and cover your face and your head with your arms. Remember, DCH, drop, cover, hold on. Glass windows and doors, outside walls and doors in an earthquake, bad news. Take for yourself. Most injuries during earthquakes happen when something drop and hit people entering or exiting a building. Last thing, don't want to run outside and ask, you feel it, you feel it? Remain calm, stay indoors until all the shaking stop, and do the DCH, drop, cover, hold on.
I'm Audley Scott, and you're listening to Flashpoint Radio. Rise and shine, your morning boost of inspiration, news and fun with Mikey G, Lady Elise, and CoraleeKaren, the unmistakable combination synergized to navigate.
That's right. Synergized to navigate. Now, today is a special day, and of course, we want to keep you abreast of the things that are happening, not only locally, not only in your community, but globally, internationally, on the world scene. Of course, certainly today is also celebrated as National Single Parent Day. And of course, we normally have our segment where we talk about family on Fridays. Family Friday. So we need to now say Family Gospel Friday. And certainly the family is the foundation of society. Now, there are some persons who are single parents. And of course, it comes with a whole different set of challenges. And so we want to highlight what single parenthood is, and the fact that a lot of persons, I believe, don't make the choice. But believe it or not, there are persons now who are making that choice to say, I want a child, but I don't necessarily want to be in a long-term relationship. Now, regardless of the reason, we want to commend those who are doing a good job, those who have been standing the course and pushing ahead, but it certainly comes with a lot of challenges. There's just one parent, so there is no sort of I don't want to use the word break. CoraleeKaren, can you give me the word that I need to use?
Well, based on your hand movement, it's balance. It's not like you're looking for the word balance.
I might be looking for the word balance, but certainly as we recognize those persons who are single parent on this, we want to just highlight what are the challenges and what we can do as persons to support individuals, both the children and the parents, because certainly sometimes they would probably need a night out, right? And they could call up CoraleeKaren or call up a neighbor or a friend who would be able to fill in and assist in helping them to have a balance in life. So what are your thoughts, Mikey G and CoraleeKaren?
Volunteered. Well, I love children. I love babies. I guess the beauty about it is that after a while they return to their parents. Because in these days, again, my children are adults. So when I observe, children are different, let me just say. But to your point, there are many reasons why persons become single parents. I think of the widows, persons who would have lost their spouse. So again, it wouldn't have been by design, it would have been by circumstance. And for the most part, what you are seeing in our society is that there are separations. So when there's a marriage and that has ended, you find sometimes that the co-parenting is not as robust, and it may be left on one person to do so. You could also find where there are challenges regarding whether or not, and this is for the male, we've had a discussion on it some time ago about determining whether or not he is in fact the parent, and for whatever reason or until such time he may not be inclined to participate. But there are persons, and what you find more so now is especially for females who are determining that they want that maternal feel. And if it is that they're not in a relationship, that they're going to the different banks to withdraw from it in order to satisfy that need. So there are in fact persons who volunteer to be single parents, not knowing that it comes with a whole host of responsibility. It you know, they say, when they say that it looks greener on the other side, it's something else when you go over there and you see the reason why it is green. But single parenting is something that when you look at it and when you talk to people, you realize it's a challenge. And I would go back to the Bible. The intention is for the parents to be fruitful and multiply. And it was on the basis that they would both participate in the growing up of the children or the rearing of the children. Because the father plays a different role than the mother. And I think what we need to be very, very clear on is that the contribution of both parents are significantly different. And so you cannot have a mother replacing the father, and it cannot be a father replacing the mother.
What about the concept, my mother who fathered me? What about that?
Which is what I just said. It can't happen.
Then why are we hearing it so much?
That notion.
Why are we hearing it so much that it is so?
I think it just sounds like a nice term to use.
Yeah.
And it just means
a nice rubbish, foolish term. I'd say rubbish, foolish term.
It just means that the mother would have done the best she can to fulfill
to be a mother,
all the needs of the child.
Be a mother, to be a mother. Leave the word fathering out, because you cannot do it as a mother. And of course, a while ago, I heard CoraleeKaren that she said she loves children. I'm going to test her knowledge now to ask her, how many did you have? Don't answer that. And so if she didn't have more than...
I will probably answer, the Lord blessed me with 2 lovely boys.
Hold on. So you only 2 out of the love that you have. You should have... The only qualified person to love children, you have to have at least...
Well, you know, one of the other things that I know is that God is very... this is my relationship.
Yes.
God is very, very prudent, because He knows that you have to be able to. There's a financial component to it, right? And so they're not cheap.
That's a storyline that is going told to everybody. That is not cheap. I understand.
Yeah,
that.
and then certainly you raised that point, because as a single parent has to juggle work, finances, and nurturing, juggling on their own.
Right.
And mark you, there are a lot of persons who do a good job, and let's not limit it to only female single parents. Just remember, there are males. And I will remind you, I had my guest here, Dr. Brown, who unfortunately her mom died when she was just about 11, and she said her father did an absolutely great job. You know, he did the best he could, and I you know, she had a tremendous amount of respect for him, because certainly he held them accountable. He took care of them when mommy gone, and you know, so there are men there who also stand with their, and I don't say their mother there. I don't know if their mother there. No, their father, their children. And
can you imagine somebody come up with a storyline of saying, my father who murdered me? That just sound, just by hearing it, sounds so wrong already. It sounds so, oh God. I wouldn't even want somebody to refer to me like that. It would be a disgrace to hear somebody refer to me in that way. I would tell you.
You know, but I think having established that both parents' role in the rearing, I don't like the word rearing, in the growing up of a child is very, very important. But there are instances that cause for one parent not to be around. So we would have mentioned death is one way of, causing somebody who, as Lady Elise said at the top of the conversation, the couple did not intend not to be around for as long as ever together, but circumstances would have caused the death of someone. And what you also see is, I don't want us to focus on why there are single parents, but the fact that there are in fact single parents. And
the
why
is a good part of it to start, though. The whys are very interestingly a big part of it.
Well, we would have established why. So we would have said death, we would have said DNA, we would have said, there are some people who they opt for it. There are persons more so who are opting for it. So we would have established the why. And maybe what we could do is focus on how do children, how are they impacted in that circumstance? We would have established that God had ordained that both parents were there. As a matter of fact, the Bible says that if if a husband dies, the brother is to take on his family and grow the children as his own. So it would suggest to me that at no point should there be that single parent scenario.
So you're saying
needless to say that the widows were to be taken care of as well, including the fatherless.
You're saying then that if say your husband dies, his brother should marry you and take care of the children.
Correct. That's certainly what the Bible said.
All right.
And
I
remember the lawyer.
I don't think anybody wants to adhere to such a rule these days. These are not rules that anybody wants to listen to.
We like to choose, but we
like to pick and choose the ones that we like, right?
One of our VIPs have a comment. Said, "Good morning. Single parenthood is very hard, especially when you're young and inexperienced and don't have proper family support to guide you through parenting. God didn't intend for a child to be nurtured by one parent. That's why he made both parents to come together to procreate. Adam and Eve was created before they started having children. Education about parenting is best when you do your research, read a lot, the Bible first, then other books that will help your knowledge about how to
that there's a system.
Thank you, VIP Grace. Yes.
There's a system of thinking right now that I could tell you about something in this way. That there are many women these days. I'm going to say women because I'm the man. I'm talking about women. I want the women to talk about the men. I'm going to talk about men too, but I want to talk about what women are doing. And the system is incentivizing women to have multiple children from multiple men. Because if the more children you have in certain system, the more money you get for the kids. And so the women don't want to hold on to the men. She wants to have a child for this one. She wants to have a child for this one.
For financial gain.
For financial gain. And so these are things that are actually happening. It's like a serial birthing person. The birthing person story where you're not woman.
Hold on, Mikey G, are you saying that if she were to have multiple children for one partner, the support would be
far less? So each child would get $500. So if it's a different father, each child would get the same amount for the different father. So the
father would not be present, is what you're saying. So the system
the system take care of the child. So in that regard, and if it's about alimony or whatever it is, if it's about any form of child support, that father have to support the child, that one father have to support the child. And so if it's a matter of saying that it's 4 children and it's $1,000 for each, if it's depending on what the man is working, then the judge would say that this is the amount that he can pay. If it's 4 children and it's $1,000, it's $1,000 for 4. But if it's 4 different fathers, it's $1,000 maybe for one child. So it's $4,000 when you do the mathematics. I'm just saying it like that because I've seen the system work along that line.
It's a fact. It's a fact, and that's one of the questions that was shared in our VIP groups. Is it okay for you to choose singleness? And of course, one VIP would have answered and said, "It's not okay to be a single parent by choice. It's not God's plan. Children should understand protocol and family structure and the role of each parent play in raising a godly family. That reflects God's plan for mankind." On that note, I will share with you that where we got this conversation from, and let's go back in history. Now, the history of Single Parent Day It has quite a long history. It can be traced back to the 1980s when Janice Moglen wrote an article with the aim of creating a single parent day, hoping that it would gain the sort of recognition that both Father's and Mother's Day do. Janice was determined in her mission, and she collaborated with an organization called Parents Without Partners. Together, they started petitioning to have Single Parents Day declared by states all across the United States. The date that was chosen is significant as well. It coincides with the origins of Parents Without Partners, which was first established on the 21st of March in 1957. Janice and the single parents all over the United States were delighted when President Ronald Reagan signed Proclamation 5166, which declared the 21st of March 1984 as a Single Parents Day. Since then, this date has been embraced across the United States and as well as many other countries around the world.
Our question I'd ask is Single Parent Day supposed to be celebrated as something that we should normalizing it, but glamorized? To say, yeah, I'm a single parent, and so this is what this day is about. Are you saying that's what it is?
No, well, at the beginning of the article on Single Parents Day, which is nationaldaysoftheyear.com, you can get that information. The background at the beginning was providing support for single parents. They do highlight several ways. Celebrate the single parents. Remember, some people who are single parents show support to a single parent, and those are ways that you can. And also, as you said, you don't want to encourage persons for the wrong motive. I just want to have a child.
Here's something that I would drop right here. There's a statement in Jamaican history that came out from the 1970s that says, "No bastard, no day again." And of course, this is a real situation where parenting children were being born from illegitimate engagements or relationships. And producing children would make the child a bastard, or deemed a bastard, or classified a bastard. And by classification, the child has no merit of getting any support from the daddy. If daddy don't want to give any support, there was no one could force the father to own the child or to say, I'm going to support the child. And so Michael Manley, the then Prime Minister, came up with the "No bastard, no day again" slogan. And I tell you what happened then after that. I'm saying this thing was something that was well deserved to be happening, that children should be supported. But the claim to "No bastard, no day again" and then glamorize that led to the pregnancies of many women afterwards, just having children out of wedlock because it was normalized. And now everybody just gone, I have no father for the child, and we can just, and you can have a child for anybody, and it was normal. And so people were just going around that it was a tragedy to see how the landscape changed because of that one statement. I'm saying, while the intention was great and was good, and I would say to the person that this was not something thoughtful for the children, and was thoughtful for a family, but just to glamorize it or to normalize it or to name it "No bastard, no day again," just by the concept of it, it changes the mindset of how people think about the thing, and then operated in that mindset to create bastards because none of them exist anymore and did not want to get into legitimate relationships.
Mikey, because what I understand too,
yes,
and I'm not taking away from what you're saying, because that's the reality now, where a lot of children are born out of wedlock, because again, the bastards were children who were, as I said, born out of wedlock, and so they had no claim. The fathers could not, identify with them, and as a result, they could not be seen with them because it was not in a marriage situation. And so I would submit that it was more for the children to have some status so that they're not ashamed. The children, I'm not saying that the parents should not be ashamed of what it is that they do, because even if you go back to the Bible, that was the structure that God created, that it should happen in an established relationship.
But here's where I want to go.
The children now are the ones I'm asking. Could it be that it was to protect them?
Yes, it is. It is to protect the children. It is to protect the children. But let me tell you something. The more we try to fix the illegitimate things, it's like saying, the more we try to make national days out of wrong things, is the more we want to glamorize the wrong things. And so if we should have formed a foundation to take care of children, and this should be a shameful thing, something that we should not be indulging in and engaging in, then we might have put that thing on it. There are some societies that you cannot have a child outside of wedlock and then want to get married after that. You will not get married. Nobody will marry you. And that is just a situation. And then people say that's a cruel thing to see. But then there is a standard that is set in that society that people says that marriage is so important that if you engage in it outside of that, there's a penalty and a consequence to it that you will never be married to anyone because you actually quote the game. I am not saying it should happen. I'm only saying that there must be some things in place that creates that mindset that allows us to think along the line. Because everything that we do have consequence. It doesn't matter what we do.
It's interesting because it's about responsibility. I think the principle is that it, as you mentioned, accountability. It makes the parents, the mother, the father, accountable to themselves, as well as to bring their children up in an environment that is structured. I had a conversation this week, and it was with a gentleman who said he is never getting married, but he has always wanted to be a father, and he now is a father. And he went on to say he would not have wanted it to happen as early as it did, but the fact that it did, he is ecstatic taking care of his daughter. And so the point is that he is not, he was adamant he's not getting married. And so any woman who comes to him with that being a precursor or a requirement, he is not. But he wants to be able to enjoy the fruits of a marriage environment.
That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. I would
agree with you, Michael, that we have come to a state where that has become the norm. However, unfortunately, it still has that child unprotected, because if for any reason there is a separation between the two, then the child now has to be juggling between two homes, has to be juggling between who is going to take care of me today.
There is a separation between
that comes with it.
There is a separation between the two of them already. There's already a separation because there's no marriage, there's no connection to stay together.
There's no commitment.
There's no commitment in that. I don't know, Lady Liz. I want to share a video with us this morning. Lady Liz, you want to jump in here and
well,
all right, so let me go with the video. Let me go with this video, and then we're going to close it here. Let me just share this video with us.
And I lied to him like all this time. Like, I'm sorry.
So when Brandon Jr. started looking like the other guy, what did you say to Brandon Sr.?
I didn't really say anything. Like, we were struggling at the time, so we had to move, and I didn't want to go back to my mother's, and I just thought, at the time, I thought it was a better move for me, and it wasn't.
So the truth is, while you all start struggling financially and all this was going on, you all trying to figure out where you gonna live, deep down inside, you're looking at your baby going, he does not look like this man.
Yes.
He looks like the other man.
All right, that's what I'm gonna say this morning, Lady CoraleeKaren.
You know, what it reminds us, though, is that without a structure, without a committed relationship, it's difficult. It's very difficult, because even that's what I got from that clip, because there's that element of support that is definitely needed in bringing up children. So it starts with the partners. It starts with the mother and the father. It starts with the husband and the wife. And when you, and again, I may get flack for this, but when you commit to the person who you want to have a child or have children with, it is the first step in saying to the children that you're in a secure space. So it's that security that starts with you saying, I'm going to commit myself to this individual, and then it bears out in how you care for each other and also for the children as well. And what that video also said is it's a very difficult. Lady Ellie spoke about it as being challenging. It's also emotionally draining.
Yes.
I remember when I had my child, and the support was so great, because there's so many things that go on emotionally. It's not just financially. It's having the reliance on somebody to care for. We must also establish that nobody has the manual on how to grow a child. So the Bible will give you, first of all, be in a committed relationship, and then you have your children, and allow the word of God to guide you in an environment of love. But we're going to make mistakes. And so don't start by making an intentional mistake.
Do not start by making an intentional one. I love that. I
can say to you that when it's hard when two parents are there, imagine when one isn't. So my encouragement to persons, for those who are single parents, you know what? I would hope that, especially we're talking to church environment, we're talking to community, we need to go back to the place where the community grow the children. And remember, that was with the understanding that both mother and father were there. So even more so now, the community needs to be involved. And we need to go back to that being the case. The community at church, the community at work, the community in the community needs to be there, because at the end of the day, it is the children who are going to be the worst off when that support is not there. We're seeing it coming out in such a big way. We're seeing a lot of the children who are feeling isolated, feeling alone, and they do not have that level of somebody who they can talk to, somebody who they can rely on, their that support structure that they need. And a lot of times, because that isolation, that loneliness, it causes them to hurt themselves. And so what we have to understand is that the repercussions are not just you having 5-10 minutes enjoyment. Yes. It is long lasting. Yes. And it is impactful on all different spheres. The parents are impacted as well, and most importantly the children. So I don't have a problem taking care of other people's children. Let me go back to that.
What you have just explained. Well done, Lady CoraleeKaren. That was well placed conversation, argument right there. What we have looked at is the fact that we have allowed ourselves to go down the rabbit hole of believing that we can do anything we want without looking at the biblical principles of what these things are supposed to be and adhere to them, and then expect the results to be what they are supposed to be. I mean, here is someone who is guilty of all, and I will point on myself to say that I'm guilty of so many things. And when I think about it, I'm not speaking without experience of having the hurt and the burn from some of the information that is being shared here. And so many people can disconnect themselves from it. I just won't allow myself to be disillusional and disconnect myself. And it might say to someone that what we're having is real conversation, because there are real situations that are actually happening to real people. And so we cannot dismiss them as trivial and just put them aside. So yes, we are having situations, but without having proper structure, proper mental guidance or moral compass that will guide you properly, these are going to be the result, and it will get only worse and worse. So this morning's conversation is really where we need to look at the family and look at what the family does. And tell you what, CoraleeKaren, I think today somebody would have gotten something from this breakfast hour.
Yeah, and the truth is that all children, we need to remember that they are our future, but they're little, they're innocent, they do not know. And so, protect our children is what I'm saying. Irrespective of the age, make sure as an adult that we are being intentional in looking out for our young people. Be mindful that they don't have the experience, they don't know it all, and so they're going to make mistakes as we do as adults. And so be careful not to judge them too harshly. Allow them to grow from those mistakes and use our experience to be more comforting and be the person who they can go to when they're having challenges, because they need to know that somebody is there for them. So be that foster mother or that foster father, because we're growing up in an environment where children are hurting themselves, and I can tell you, they are hurting themselves. And so we need to step in and be the community for the children that we're seeing today. They're going to be aggressive, they're going to be almost, rebellious. But even if you're to love them from a distance, we have to go back to the stage where our children matter to every single person that they come in contact with. So it reminds them that they're valuable, that they remind them that whatever they do, somebody cares for them. And that's where we need to go back to.
Well, on that note, Lady CoraleeKaren, we are going to be ending this topic, this episode of the Breakfast Hour, and this conversation right here. Of course, our news comes up next, but next week we want to touch on the topic. We're going to use your last argument as the gateway to our next conversation on the topic of abortion for next week, Friday. Catch us right here on the Breakfast Hour for family time. And we're going to be talking about abortion next week, Friday, and the devastating effect it has on not just the family or the society, but on the family itself that it actually
Absolutely.
All right, guys, we thank you for joining us. Of course, the news comes up next right here on Flashpoint. Of course, this segment of the Breakfast Hour is brought to you by Asai Ultrasound for all your ultrasound needs right here in the Grand Cayman Islands.
When you need ultrasound that's safe and effective, you must visit Asai Ultrasound Imaging. They're conveniently located at number 4 Chestnut Center, Smith Road, Georgetown, Cayman Islands. With experienced technologists with over 20 years experience, their friendly staff will make you comfortable while you get your procedure done. Asai Ultrasound Imaging is open Mondays to Fridays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturdays. Call Asai Ultrasound Imaging 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426. That's 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426.
morning. It is Friday, March 21, and these are the news headlines on Flashpoint Radio and CoraleeKaren. Newlands candidates face off in first debate. The first political showdown in Newlands took place on Wednesday night as career politician Wayne Panton, former MP Alva Suku, and third-time contender Raul Gonzalez Jr. squared off in a Chamber of Commerce election debate. The discussion focused on housing, employment, healthcare, cost of living, traffic, and education. Panton highlighted past accomplishments, including road improvements, park renovations, and traffic control initiatives. Suku emphasized the importance of strong party leadership, aligning himself with the People's Progressive Movement and advocating for stability. Meanwhile, Gonzalez called for more action, pledging to establish a district council and address community concerns. Economist questions necessity of cruise berth in Cayman. Economist Marla Ducaran has cast doubt on the need for cruise berthing infrastructure in the Cayman Islands, presenting findings from her report, quote, Cruise Tourism in Cayman, at a community rally hosted by CPR Cayman. Ducaran argued that such a project is unnecessary and financially unsound. Speakers at the event, including marine expert Tom Goru, reinforced concerns over environmental impacts, while CPR Cayman leaders stressed the importance of a public referendum on the issue. Cayman's schools to participate in earthquake and tsunami drill. Over 8,000 students across the Cayman Islands will take part in the Carib Wave Tsunami Exercise drill organized by Hazard Management Cayman Islands will simulate an 8.0 magnitude earthquake off Jamaica's coast, triggering tsunami warnings. The exercise aims to assess emergency response protocols and enhance preparedness. In regional news, Antigua launches Chantal Alert for missing children. Antigua and Barbuda's government has approved the Chantal Alert system, named after 9-year-old Chantal Crump, who was tragically found dead last week. Modeled after North America's Amber Alert, the system will send emergency messages to all cell phone users and display alerts on electronic billboards. Authorities hope the swift information dissemination will aid in locating missing children promptly. A 20-year-old woman, Angela Najari, has been charged with Chantal's murder and remains in custody. Dominica moves to legalize medicinal cannabis by 2025. Dominica's Prime Minister Roosevelt Skerritt has announced that legislation for the legal production of medicinal cannabis will be in place by the end of 2025. While the government is keen on entering the cannabis industry, Skerritt acknowledged challenges in securing financial backing due to international banking restrictions. A national committee has been established to oversee the transition. Protests escalate in Dominica over electoral reforms. Tensions are high in Dominica following protests against 3 controversial electoral bills passed in Parliament. Demonstrations in the capital Roseau turned violent as police deployed tear gas and rubber bullets to disperse protesters attempting to breach security barriers. In Salisbury, villagers blocked the E.O. LeBlanc Highway in response to what they claim is government overreach, following a police raid on the home of former opposition leader Hector John. Acting Police Chief Davison Valerie has called for an end to the blockade, warning that law enforcement will take necessary action to restore order. Those were your news headlines on Flashpoint Radio. Please continue to stay tuned throughout the day for more updates.
When you need ultrasound that's safe and effective, you must visit Asai Ultrasound Imaging. They're conveniently located at number 4, Chestnut Center, Smith Road, Georgetown, Cayman Islands. With experienced technologists with over 20 years experience, their friendly staff will make you comfortable while you get your procedure done. Asai Ultrasound Imaging is open Mondays to Fridays, 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. and 9 a.m. to 1 p.m. on Saturdays. Call Asai Ultrasound Imaging 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426. That's 345-949-2454 or 345-938-3426.
I'm Audley Scott, and you're listening to Flashpoint Radio, Rise and Shine, your morning boost of inspiration, news, and fun. With Mikey G, Lady Elise, and CoraleeKaren, the unmistakable combination, synergized to navigate.
Thank you for joining us this morning for this morning's experience on Friday. It's Family Friday, and we had a wonderful time with you. Of course, if you had a wonderful time with us, of course, remember to like, share, and subscribe to this channel. Of course, to this station, Flashpoint Radio, flashpointmedia.ky, and of course, like, share, and of course, definitely subscribe. Thank you, dear ladies and gentlemen. Of course, go into the weekend. Remember, the open portal comes up at 6:30 in the p.m. right here at Flashpoint. That'll be an exciting topic. We're talking about church hurt and how it affects you as a person. You can stay with Flashpoint all day. It's All Gospel Friday. So much and more is coming up next.
And you're listening to Flashpoint Radio, Rise and Shine, your morning boost of inspiration, news, and fun. With Mikey G, Lady Elise, and CoraleeKaren, the unmistakable combination, synergized to navigate.
It's like we're running in circles, going around every day, getting stuck in the hurdles of yesterday. Don't you wanna go further, away from the fray? Let's not get stuck in our worries, we'll make our own way. Won't you come outside where the sunflowers bloom? Breathe in the air, look up to the moon. I'll meet you outside, away from the crowd, just you and me together, and we'll all sing better outside, just us in the sky. like a heavy burden, but I can't relate. Do our actions even matter, or is this our fate? At least now I'm feeling better. I know I'm here to stay. Won't you come outside where the sunflowers bloom? Breathe in the air, look up to the moon. I'll meet you outside, away from the crowd. Just you and me together, we'll all sing better outside. Just us in the sky. I will go wherever, I'll be yours forever.
For Flashpoint Day, start your breakfast the Flashpoint way and cruise through lunch and then to dinner. With Flashpoint Radio. Flashpoint Radio is a class. Flashpoint Radio for gospel, inspiration, motivation, and meditation. Anywhere you go, take Flashpoint with you. Flashpoint Radio in a class by itself.